Josh isn't too far away.
Okay, well,
But, yes, I mean, that, normally, people don't, although that'd be convenient to live, a couple houses down from where you work, it isn't that common, for whatever reason. I only live 15 minutes away. I hear everything that goes on.
so yeah, we got.
All right, good evening, everyone. We will begin our Board of Appeals meeting for the City of Holland. For information, our board members are regular citizens of Holland who have volunteered and have been appointed by City Council to consider applications to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Housing Board of Appeals, Construction Board of Appeals, and for accommodations for persons with disabilities. This board must interpret each application as it relates to city ordinances. This board is not empowered to rezone or to take any action that could be considered rezoning. The agenda is in the order that the applications were received by the city. The presence of 4 board members is required for a quorum, and it also takes 4 concurring votes to approve applications. When your application is called, we will ask that you come to the microphone and state your name and address. We will hear the applicant first, and then anyone supporting the application, followed by anyone opposing it. After the public hearing is closed, there will be no other opportunity for further public comment related to the application. Decisions of the board are final and are effective on the day of such decision. However, applicants may appeal decisions to the circuit court in accordance with state law. If you elect not to stay for our deliberation and decision, you may call the Community and Neighborhood Services Department tomorrow after 8:30 in the morning to learn the results. Meetings are streamed online live and recorded and available to view on the city's YouTube channel. And if there's no objections to our agenda, I'll have our clerk please read our first item.
Perfect. So the first item is for 60 East 21st Street, application number 21.12Z. Michael and Mika Weiss are requesting a special exception to construct an accessory dwelling unit on their property at 60 East 21st Street. The Board of Appeals can approve this request if certain conditions are met. 39-185G.
All right, thank you. And now I will ask if we have representatives of the applicant, if they could please come forward. And again, state your name and address, please, for us.
Mika Weiss, 60 East 21st Street.
Mike Weiss, 60 East 21st Street.
All right, thank you. If you wouldn't mind, please just go over your application and what you're looking to do here, what you're here for. So, if you could, please.
We have a garage that's very vintage. It's over 100 years old. It's on the 1926 fire map, and you can tell when you look at it, it needs to be rebuilt. The foundation's falling apart, and regardless of the decision here tonight, it needs to be redone. So we'd like to make it into a 2-stall garage. We'd also like to be able to put an apartment above that. It's gonna be a small studio apartment. We would either rent it or use it for personal office space. That kind of depends on how the next year or so goes. And so we've talked a little bit with our neighbors, trying to make sure that everybody is happy there, and that they have whatever privacy that they need. We talked to them about some of the fencing and some of the things like that, so that they can have what they'd like there as much as we can. And yeah, I think everything else is kind of included in the application. So we're obviously available for questions, but that is what we're hoping to do. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Now I'll look around to our board. Oh, please, I think we might have a few questions for you. So, and if our board members have any questions?
When you stated the use of the ADU, could you define that any more with what the city requires for that as well?
So we were working with Nick, because I think he understands, kind of the ins and outs of some of that a little bit better. So when we were looking at the possibility of it being a rental unit, we wanted to make sure that we included a parking pad that would provide that parking spot for that unit. It would be one. I think it allows 2 people in there. My preference would be to have 1 person in there if we did that. It's a pretty small space, but it does meet the minimum requirements. So, there's a kitchen inside, bathroom space, all those sorts of things to make sure that we kind of threaded that needle. As far as office space goes, you know, I've always done what I do from home. He's been home for the past year, and his office is kind of back and forth as far as whether they're going back or not. The house is not especially large, and so making space for all of that has just, you know, it's been a challenge, I think, like it has been for a lot of people.
I would just add, we have 3 girls, and they will be going to college, well, in a few years. Anyway, it adds that extra space too, so if they wanted a spot where they could camp out, that'd be a place to do that.
I have a couple of questions. First of all, I didn't quite hear what you said. Did you say that the parking's, or what is your plan for parking for this ADU?
There's a parking pad just to the, what is it, the east side of the ADU, and so that's the parking plan for that.
And that's for one space?
That's one space, correct.
And so you'll maintain that after whatever happens tonight? If this is approved, you'll maintain that space into the future
Yeah, we're
as
planning to
well?
build that in, so that wouldn't, you know, that would be, we're planning on concrete unless we can manage to afford a permeable paver or something like that, but that is intended as a parking spot. If we don't use it for that, you know, we'll sometimes use it occasionally to pull a boat in overnight, not long-term, but, you know, right before a trip or something like that. And then he would like to be able to have the space to do work on whatever outside as well. So that's what that purpose would be, if it's not a parking spot.
Okay. When you consider erecting an upper story onto the garage that you're proposing to build, are you, as I walked around there, I noticed so many power lines around that area. Are you able to build that without running into those power lines? Or are there also policies by the power companies whether you need to stay a certain distance from that? Has all that been worked out?
Yeah, we've been, maybe Mike can talk about this a little bit more. We have been in contact with the BPW on that.
So there was an individual at BPW, Lisa, came out, and we coordinated a meeting with her and Havman and a couple other people from BPW, and we talked about just the overall electrical plan, because the service panel would have to be mounted. We want a service panel on the ADU. They had approached us to move the transformer off the street, the green box, the 3x3 green box off the street, and they had asked if we'd be willing to put it back on our property, and that prompted the discussion around the electric and what to do with the overhead wires. So right now, there's a transformer box in the bottom left-hand corner. We asked about if there's any setbacks away from that box that we need to be aware of, and there weren't any, according to them. So we're not up against it, but we're pretty close to it.
And those overhead wires that are currently present there, they're putting all of that underground as part of the reconstruction project for College Avenue.
I see.
So a lot of that's gonna go under, and what doesn't go under, we're planning to put under as well. So right now, they've switched things around even just in the past week so that it strings across our yard in a different place, and we're planning to have that put underground as part of this project.
Okay. Lastly, in the regulations, I noticed that on the south side of your proposed building, the upper story has 2 windows looking south. Across the alley is a neighbor that's maybe 2 feet from the edge of the alley that has a bay window right there. And the regulation states that the placement, orientation, and location of windows and doors of the ADU will not infringe upon the privacy of the surrounding neighborhoods. Do you think that your windows will affect the privacy of people living in your and next door neighbor to the
So,
south?
yeah, we've talked to them about that, and none of us see that as an issue. You know, this is a residential neighborhood that's right inside the city. So our house, our current existing house and our neighbor's house, we've got about, a 7-foot driveway that's separating our 2 houses. So this is actually quite a bit
Washing dishes together.
more of a, we are. This is actually a little bit more of a distance. I think it's offset just a little bit as well. So they didn't express any concern with
about
that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I had a couple, if I could. The utility pole that is there now, that's going to be relocated or removed, you said?
Yeah, there's 2 there. There's one set back from the road, and then there's one out at the end of our driveway. You're talking at the end of the driveway?
it looks like it's right, it's on the plan right there. It'd be right in the way of
Yeah.
where your approach is for your, okay, so that is coming out.
BBW has told us that's the one being removed. And the electric will be run underground to a new pole that's been put into the ground that sits right behind our neighbor's garage now.
Okay,
And there will be a transformer at the base of that pole. So that's where they'll run the power down the alley to the tip of the pole, under the ground into the transformer, and go onto the street.
okay. There's an existing drive approach now for your garage that faces College Avenue. The drive approach that's in the city's right-of-way there, is that coming out? Or you mentioned a project on College Avenue. Is that gonna be reconstructed and then,
Yeah, assuming this is approved, then we'll coordinate with city transportation. We've talked to them already as well, and so it's not a problem to, as part of that project, they'll just remove that. They still have time to do that. So
Okay.
that's what we would do.
excellent. And then, sorry, I'm in the water and sewer business, myself, so just wanna confirm, you're having water and sewer, obviously, cause you're gonna have a kitchen and a bathroom, and that's gonna be a joint with your existing home. You're gonna run an underground sewer from the house to the garage, or, excuse me, from the garage to the house?
So I reached out to Mark Gibson.
Mm-hmm,
So him, myself, Mika, and our contractor will be meeting tomorrow morning.
okay,
Actually, at 11 a.m. to talk about that. And then Mark's response is that most likely they'll be off College, what's the term?
Putting in a new lateral
a
coming
new
out.
sewer lateral?
Yeah.
Okay, off of College,
Off of the infrastructure under College Ave.
okay. So there will be a separate sewer service for this garage and dwelling unit?
That is what he said most likely will need to happen.
Okay,
So we're gonna flesh that out tomorrow and understand how we can get the contractor and BPW to coordinate that.
okay. And water will be served from the house and the main meter in the house to the garage?
Well, that's what
I know,
we're gonna
okay.
try to finalize those details, but Mark's response is both sewer and water would come from the street,
From College?
from College.
And your existing home is served from College also, or from 21st?
Sewers from 21st.
Waters from College.
Water's from College.
Okay. All right. And then my last question, I think, is just my own curiosity. Will the chicken coop stay?
Please. The girls love the chickens.
I didn't see it on your landscaping plan or your,
Yeah,
That's a fair point.
Yeah. yeah. The chickens are staying.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll have to be relocated, and we'll have to figure that part out, but yeah.
so College and the coordination with BPW, with the utilities, I guess it leads me to another question. Your schedule. Assuming this got approved tonight, what would be your schedule? Just, are you looking to do this year or next year, or?
Yeah, right now we're taking it step by step, but
Okay.
yeah, if we had our way, we'd like to get in this year, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, the hope is to do it this year. You know, with this college reconstruction, we want to make sure that we get those utility lines run that are coming out from under the street. So that part is kind of set in stone if this goes through. We really need to get that done right away.
gotcha.
And then we really prefer to get it done this year. That's just going to depend on timing with the contractor and the ability to get materials and things like that. But the hope is really that we'll be able to complete it this year.
Okay. That's all I had. Any other questions from our board?
I didn't have a question so much as just an observation. I was looking at this landscape drawing here, and I noticed that, see, that'd be on the east side. You're looking at installing a 6-foot fence, and it kind of jogs upward just as it gets to the parking space. You were on that first drawing on page 1. How it gets near the parking space and then it jogs up towards that sidewalk. Just wanted to make sure that, double check with the ordinance on how far that needs to be set back from the sidewalk. If that's like a corner lot, side yard, or front yard has different setbacks. Because I know that's been irksome to some people in the past in the city, where they put something within, I think, like a foot, but it was supposed to be 4 or 5 feet back, and
Right.
they had to move it, and that's
Right.
pretty annoying. So just an observation, wanted to put that. That's all for me.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming in to explain it.
Thank you.
And then at this time, I will open our public hearing and ask anybody who wishes to speak in favor of this application or in opposition of this application. Not seeing anyone. We didn't receive any communications outside. Okay. Then I will close the public hearing and look to our board for a potential motion here. Unless there's any other discussion.
I would make a motion, we approve the special exemption for the ADU at 60 East 21st Street.
I second.
All right, we have motion and support, and do we have some findings of fact?
Yeah, we did receive and saw that the review was approved for the residential infill regulations by the staff. The applicant submitted a site plan showing a proposed location of the ADU with the areas designated for off-street parking, which we would make a requirement that the two-stall garage, 2 parking spaces there, and the 1 parking space for the ADU stay intact. So there, I guess the easiest way to say it would be 3 for your house for sure. It appears the applicant submitted a floor plan showing the ADU that includes a kitchen, bathroom, and sleeping area. Our understanding, the principal structure on the property currently is a single-family home and will remain that. There will be no more than 1 detached accessory structure in addition to the ADU. So it'd be just your house and staff. Now, from our conversations, we think that the ADU would fit in with the traffic, parking, and noise of the residential area. The placement and orientation of the doors and windows, neighbors did have a chance to provide feedback. There was nothing that was provided, but you have reached out to your neighbors and got some feedback from that, so that's really great to be in there. And the landscaping and the fencing would need to meet all the ordinances as well. So from a fact, the parking will need to be as it is in the floor in your site plan, with a pad off to the one side. And the finding and facts of this meeting shall be recorded with the Ottawa County Registers of Deeds, and the fees would be incurred by the applicant.
I have one more to add.
Yes.
There will be no more than 2 people who will occupy the ADU as well. Okay. Is that good, Vince?
We got everything?
I have everything, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Let's go for a vote on this, please.
All right, the motion is to approve Barr,
Yes.
Van Antwerp,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Shea,
Yes.
Sorick.
Yes,
Motion to approve passes.
and thank you. Best of luck.
Good luck.
Yes. All right, and our next item on the agenda is the approval of our minutes from the May 27, 2021 meeting, regular meeting. And if I could get a motion for that?
I move we approve the minutes.
I'll support it. And I will, all in favor of approving the minutes from the May 27 meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Seeing none, the minutes are approved. And our next meeting is July 22nd. If there's any indication early yet, we already have nodding that we have an applicant already. So count on.
And we will have election of officers.
Oh, thank you. That wasn't on my agenda, but that's a key piece of
So
information.
don't miss the meeting next month.
Because we know what happens when you miss a
When you
meeting.
miss the meeting, you're not here for elections.
Nominations start flying.
Yes.
Okay. So be there for Thursday, July 22nd, 2021. And I'm looking for one last motion, please.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I support.
All right. All in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.